What's up, y'all? Welcome to Weezy's Weekend Wind-Up. Hope everyone is doing rather exquisite on this lovely Saturday. Greetings and salutations from Sarasota, Florida, wherever you may find yourself. If you are new to the show, you are most welcome. And if you are a seasoned veteran, much love to y'all. Who do we got here today? What's up, Miss T, Secret Squirrel? Happy Gilmore, man. Enjoy those brews. Hit up that StreamYard, my man. Let's hear it out. Yeah, so we touch on the top news, or interesting news, should I say, of the week. Go over some articles. On this one, though, at the very end, I want to do a review, like I said last week, on the Soundoffreedom movie. I did watch it last Sunday, like I said I was going to do. And I will give a review and my thoughts and opinions on it. And if you want to, like, if anything triggers you, hit that StreamYard link in the description. Join the conversation. And after we go over the news articles, we will take in calls. Part of the show, god damn it. Show your friends you were on Spotify and such. All right. First article in the line of business. If you look at the thumbnail, we have a she/her trans individual that's in the military. And, that's why that's in the thumbnail. This memo came out, and it was kind of kept under wraps. But luckily, due to the Substack, and this person links the official document to the Substack, so you can check it out for yourself. But this Substack is by Jordan Schachtel, I believe. Sure, I'm butchering his name. And he's writing for the Dossier. This article is from July 18th, 2023. Confidential Biden DOD memo reveals transgender service members can skip deployments and receive indefinite physical fitness standards waivers. The Dossier has acquired a new Department of Defense memo that goes into great detail on the topic of care of service members who identify as transgender. The document, which is not classified but has long remained unavailable to Americans, is being published here for the first time for public consumption. The 34-page memo details the enormous perks granted to service members who identify as transgender. At the beginning of his tenure, President Biden ended President Trump's ban on people who identify as transgender serving in the military. Since then, the Biden administration has granted more and more benefits to the cohort, leading to dudes like this being celebrated by the Defense Department. Here's that that she/her individual. Anyway, here are some of the highlights found within the document. Taxpayer-funded care for transgender service member includes speech and voice therapy, cross-sex hormones, laser hair removal, voice feminization surgery, facial contouring, body contouring, breast, chest surgery, upper surgery, genital mutilation surgery, lower surgery, psychological counseling. Service members who identify as transgender may receive a waiver for grooming and uniform standards. Service members who identify as transgender may receive an indefinite waiver for physical fitness standards. This waiver often becomes a de facto permanent situation, and the transgender identifying service member just has to renew the exemption request every 6 months. Service members who identify as transgender will be considered non-deployable for up to 300 days while taking hormones for their transition period. Again, given that these hormones are often required for life, this may render the transgender identifying service member as permanently unable to deploy. The United States military is facing its worst recruiting environment since 1973, when the conscription era ended and the current all-volunteer force was formed. As the Defense Department memo makes clear, the U.S. military in 2023 represents more of a social welfare and social justice program than an entity purposed with defeating an aggressive army. And here is the link to that memo. So basically, by identifying as a tranny, you can get all your surgeries done, all the stuff that is in your head, get that free of charge, and you don't have to ever go into battle. The best of the trans world has to offer by joining the military. How crazy of a time are we in right now where that is the case? Get all your shit paid for. Your mind tells you you're in a quote unquote different body, and the government will pay for it, and you don't even have to risk going to war, getting torn up, or any of that shit. Clown world, 100%. So let's move on to our next article. This is by Jessica Chasmar from Fox News, written on July the 16th. I like to cover Epstein articles whenever they come out, especially on these weekend wind-ups. That's a case that I have been fascinated for many, many, many years. And I've said this before, but if you have friends that kind of shy away from conspiracies, going into the Jeff Epstein stuff is what I believe to be one of the best ways to get someone's foot in the conspiracy door, if you will, because it was covered up back in the 80s. It was covered up even after his quote unquote alleged death. The cover-ups continue, the bullshit continues. None of the people on the list have been called out, so that is one that you should familiarize yourself in if you want to try to quote unquote convert a normie friend of yours onto the conspiratorial ways of thinking, because it's very real, very verifiable. So whenever an article makes a blip on the screen, I try to make sure to cover it and read it. All right. Title of the article is Billionaire Who Visited Epstein Island Drops Massive 6-Figure Donation Backing Biden's Re-Election Bid. Reid Hoffman, LinkedIn co-founder, hosted a fundraiser for Biden in June. First on Fox, a joint fundraising committee authorized by the Biden campaign has received a massive 6-figure donation from a tech billionaire recently discovered to have traveled to convicted pedophile Jeff Epstein's private island in 2014. LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman donated $699,000. God damn! On April 26th to the Biden Victory Fund, the campaign's joint fundraising vehicle, according to Federal Election Commission, the FEC, in other words. The donations came exactly 1 week before the Wall Street Journal reported that Hoffman visited Epstein's private Caribbean island called Little St. James, part of the U.S. Virgin Islands, on at least one occasion in 2014. Hoffman and Epstein were planning to return. God damn it. Hoffman and Epstein were planning to return on the island in November 2014 and then travel to Boston, the report said. It's unclear what the intent was for those who planned trips, but the report also revealed Hoffman was planning to stay at Epstein's luxury Manhattan townhome in December of 2014 after a late arrival in New York City. Now, looking at this motherfucking mug right here, I would like to know what is in his hard drive. That's all I'm going to say right now. Hoffman made headlines last month after Biden attended a fundraiser he hosted on behalf of the Super PAC at the private residence of Shannon Hunt Scott and Kevin Scott in Los Gatos, California. Or they probably say it over there, Los Gatos. Los Gatos. Hoffman told the Journal in May it gnaws at him that his association with Epstein helped his reputation and thus delayed justice for his survivors. Shut up. My last interaction with Epstein was in 2015. So many years after the conviction and the world knowing that he was a pedophile by this point. Still, by agreeing to participate in any fundraising activity where Epstein was present, I helped to repair his reputation and perpetuate injustice, Hoffman said in 2019. For this, I am deeply regretful. In 2015, interaction was when he invited Epstein to a Silicon Valley dinner with tech industry leaders. In September of that year, Hoffman attended a state dinner hosted by the then Vice President Biden at the White House in honor of Chinese President Xi Jinping. Fox News Digital has previously reported that Hoffman's money also goes into non-traditional groups that aren't mandated to report their funding and often operate in the shadows. He was forced to issue an apology in 2018 for funding a group that falsely tried to give an impression that the Russian government was supporting Alabama Republican Roy Moore in a 2017 special Senate election. Biden has benefited from Hoffman's lavish spending on campaign contributions, donating $1.5 million to a super PAC that supported Biden's candidacy in 2020 election, as well as the maximum individual dollar amount allowed to Biden's campaign, according to FEC records. Such spending can come with certain perks, such as access. According to White House visitor logs, Hoffman visited the White House 5 times last year. One of the visits appears to have been for the state dinner with French President Emmanuel Macron. The other 4 trips were for meetings with Madeleine Strasser, who at the times advised then White House Chief of Staff Ron Klein, Kimberly Lang, who at the time was the executive assistant to Biden's national security advisor, and Jordan Finkelstein, a special assistant to Biden and chief of staff to the president's senior advisor. Biden campaign did not respond to Fox News' request for comment. So there we go. A known Jeff Epstein BFF using the same MO as Bill Clinton or fucking Dirty Dershowitz or Trump that, oh, I didn't know it was a bad guy. I mean, I regret meeting the guy. Same shit from every one of them. And yeah, it seems to fly with some people. All right, so here's a little lighthearted article before we get into the Sound of Freedom movie review. Woman who married a Victorian era ghost has divorced him by having an exorcism. This is written by Stuart Perry on July the 18th, and it is from ladbible.com. A woman who married a ghost from Victorian era has revealed she has divorced him. Brocard sent shockwaves around the world when she announced her nuptials to Eduardo. The 40-year-old said that the devilishly handsome soldier burst into her bedroom on a stormy night, and their fate was set. What the fuck? They decided to get hitched after only 5 months of knowing each other, and they had their wedding on Halloween last year. However, things quickly went from bad to worse. Ricard says Eduardo got drunk on their honeymoon in Barry Island. Wales, and then he started getting very possessive. Get the fuck out of here. The 40-year-old said Eduardo would disappear for days and then come back smelling of Chanel number 5, which was Monroe's signature smell. While she tried to put boundaries on her new husband, that only sent him into anger. Sorry. So Brocard decided to return to the chapel where they exchanged vows and performed an exorcism. She said, "Our relationship has always been turbulent from the very beginning, with the stark contrast of him being threatening and possessive and then warm and intense. But I slowly began to tire of being married to a free spirit. He was inconsistent, barely present." She added, "I came to the conclusion that the journey with Eduardo had no positive conclusion and his energy was dragging me down. There was no breakup conversation. I consulted a psychic medium to help me assert my boundaries over Eduardo and try to tame him, but it didn't work. He grew increasingly more aggressive and nasty and began to haunt me with the sound of a screaming baby. I concluded that the only way to get rid of Eduardo was to exorcise him, so I embarked on the harrowing process in the chapel that we got married in. After hours, he was finally purged from my system. I felt light and free and excited to be released of his troubled spirit. Since the exorcism, I haven't felt his presence or seen him. The whole energy has shifted and life feels more light and joyful. I'm quite adamant that I no longer want to be haunted by Eduardo, so his presence isn't welcome in my life." She wrote a song called Just Another Anthem about their relationship, and she believes it's an in-your-face message to symbolize that I've moved on. Get the fuck out of here, man. And you can see the crazy in her eyes right there. I would not trust her with a knife in her hand, if you know what I says. So as I said last week, I wanted to watch The Sound of Freedom, even though I already had some red flags come up regarding some of these characters. Chiefly, I went on about Jim Caviezel and some of his weird stuff. And as promised, I went to watch it. And so I'm going to do a review, but let's see what this article from just a couple days ago says. $100 million the movie has made. So pretty stunning debut, 100%. All right, this is from The Hollywood Reporter. Box office milestone. Sound of Freedom crosses 100 million in the US. The faith-based political thriller is from Angel Studios, which also produces The Chosen. A sleeper hit, Sound of Freedom has crossed the $100 million mark at the domestic box office in a little over 2 weeks. The faith-based, conservative-leaning film has made headlines since opening on the 4th of July and beating Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny for the day with $14.2 million. Sound of Freedom continues to over-index in the middle of the country and the South. The movie, billed as a political thriller, stars the Passion of the Christ, Jim Caviezel, as a real-life Tim Ballard, who worked as an agent for the Department of the Homeland Security before embarking on his own quest to bring child traffickers to justice. Ballard founded his own anti-trafficking organization dubbed Operation Underground Railroad. More on that in a minute. Mira Sorvino and Bill Camp also star. Sound of Freedom is from Angel Studios, the Utah-based production and distribution venture that is also home to The Chosen, an hour-long drama series about the life of Jesus. Movies and series are crowdfunded in part by Angel Guild, a community of over 100,000 people who vote on all eligible films submitted to Angel Studios. The Pig has stayed high up on the box office chart since its debut. It placed third over the July 7 through 9 weekend with an impressive 19.7 million from 2,634 theaters, while coming in second over the July 14-16 weekend with 27.3 million from 2,852 locations. An unheard of 39% week over week jump. The film continues to grow its theater count as cinema owners rush to carry the movie, and as other summer offerings struggle to find a foothold. Over the July 21 to 23 weekend, when it goes up against Barbie and Oppenheimer, Sound of Freedom will be playing in 3,287 theaters, according to Angel Studios. As a way of comparison, this could also be the weekend when the movie surpasses The Flash, which has earned 107 million to date domestically. God damn, that's impressive. I will say that. Sound of Freedom has become the people's movie. It was chosen by over 100,000 people in the Angel Guild, fueled by untold tens of thousands through our Pay It Forward program, and is dominating the box office as the result of it. Thank you, my son. God damn. If you heard that door opening, oh shit. If you heard that door opening, that was my son crashing in with one of these bad boys. How's that? Thank you. Where was I? Sorry. Sound of Freedom has become the people's movie. It was chosen by over 100,000 people in the Angel Guild, fueled by untold tens of thousands through our Pay It Forward program, and is dominating the box office as the result of a ground-up grassroots movement of everyday people who are making this an historic success, Angel Studios Senior VP Global Distribution Jared Jeezy said in a statement. This is the opposite of the top and down system developed by Hollywood gatekeepers. We are empowering people to be part of choosing, funding, sharing stories that amplify light and impact culture. While Sound of Freedom has been discussed on QAnon message boards, Angel says it isn't a QAnon movie. Yet in late 2021, Caviezel spoke at a QAnon convention in Las Vegas, where he invoked the QAnon slogan, "The storm is upon us." The movie cost a reported $14.5 million to $15 million to produce. So there you go. Pretty impressive shit. I will say so myself. 100 mil in just over 2 weeks is not too shabby, and I'm sure Tim Ballard is feeling pretty good about it. So this article earlier stated that, let's see if I can find it here. Let's see. Ballard founded his own organization dubbed Operation Underground Railroad. Very interesting, and this is a fairly recent article. Vice did an operation an article back on July 13th. And let's see. This is by Anna Marion on July 13th from Vice.com. Every now and then they can do some actual investigative work, but a lot of times they do put out a lot of bullshit, I will be honest. But interesting shit that they uncovered. The founder of the controversial anti-trafficking group left before the launch of Sound of Freedom, a surprisingly successful movie about his exploits. Tim Ballard, founder of Operation Underground Railroad, has quietly parted ways with the controversial anti-trafficking group. The news comes as Sound of Freedom, a heavily fictionalized depiction of Ballard's work for a division of ICE and his early career as a private anti-trafficking operator, continues to draw at the box office. The movie has brought in just under $50 million, largely on the strength of marketing campaigning, encouraging religious audiences to not only attend the movie, but to pay it forward by buying tickets for other people bringing an unprecedented attention to both Ballard and OUR, which is out the Underground Railroad organization. Let's see. In recent days, sources with knowledge of OUR began to tell Motherboard that Ballard had left the organization. By one account, he'd gone to donors in a state of upset, saying that he'd been forced out and asking for their help with a new organization. Another person who's worked with the group said that to the best of their knowledge, he was no longer with OUR and was focusing on his work with the Nazarene Fund, a Glenn Beck-backed organization that has focused on religious minorities in the Middle East, but has more recently operated in Afghanistan and Ukraine. A third person familiar with OUR fundraising said that they had heard just this week that Ballard had broken with the organization. In a statement with an OUR spokesperson said, founder Tim Ballard has recently stepped away from Operation Underground Railroad prior to launch of the film Sound of Freedom. They added, Matt Osborne continues to serve as the president and COO of the organization on LinkedIn. Osborne is listed as having served as president and COO since February 2023, 6 months ago. Have you worked with Tim Ballard? Do you know something? Oh, shit. They're asking for tips right here. So they're trying to expose Tim Ballard, which, if you are a scum person, you should be exposed. And so I have no problem with scumbags being, and I'm gonna go into a little bit more of that in just a minute. Ballard has made no mention of his departure from OUR as he began a one-man press tour focused on the film and the Jim Caviezel played character based on him. In recent days, he's been interviewed on Fox News telling Jesse Waters that criticisms of the film by mainstream media outlets was playing into the hands of pedophiles, and by the New York Post, where he said enforcing the border is the only compassionate thing to do if you care about children. Ballard has long claimed that a porous southern border leads to sex trafficking children, a view not shared by most experts in anti-trafficking network. On his program, Waters introduced Ballard as the founder of the Spear Fund, a new organization that has not previously been mentioned. A bare-bones website for the Spear Fund lists Ballard as a co-founder along with a woman named Jessica Munoz, whose LinkedIn says she is an emergency medicine nurse practitioner in Hawaii. Ballard's biography on Instagram, the platform he's most active on, describes him as OUR's founder and the current CEO of the Nazarene Fund. Though the website has few additional details, a description reads only as, the Spear Fund relies on experts in the field of anti-trafficking to consult on its many projects. A donation page is already active. Ballard, who was appointed by the Trump administration and as co-chair of the Public-Private Partnership Advisory Council to End Human Trafficking, a group tasked with advising the federal government on anti-trafficking policy, has long been a highly controversial figure. A variety of lurid stories he's told about his and OUR's probably cinematic exploits have turned on closer inspections to not be accurate, and the organization was a subject of a protracted criminal investigation examining, among other things, whether OUR's operators engaged in sexual acts with human trafficking victims, whether OUR operations had created demand for trafficking victims, and whether OUR has committed human trafficking itself by enticing people who were not previously traffickers with large sums of money. God damn, this is heavy shit right here. That investigation ultimately closed without charges being brought, but did real damage to the organization's image with donors, according to multiple sources who have spoken with Vice News over the past 3 years. OUR nonetheless raised tens of millions of dollars each year, based largely on Ballard's image and reputation, and that of the supposed jump team, which OUR claimed went abroad to enact daring raids and rescues of trafficked women and children. In recent years, Ballard has firmly established himself in the right-wing media ecosystem. Sound of Freedom has provided him a fresh opportunity to promote his brand as the leading authority on sex trafficking to new audiences. OUR referred further questions to a media contact for Ballard, who's also listed as a spokesperson for Angel Studios, the force behind the distribution and marketing of Sound of Freedom. That person did not immediately respond to a request for comment. So, very, very interesting findings and allegations. But allegations, at the end of the day, are only allegations if you have no evidence to back them up. But the fact that he has another organization that has these experts, quote unquote, and is raking in money, and the fact that he left OUR as soon as the movie started making some serious cash is pretty fucking weird. Let's put all the other things aside. That is damn weird. A very curious thing to be doing. Now, as we see here, he's affiliated with the Trump team. He's affiliated. Jim Caviezel is another QAnon guy. And if you guys know my feelings on it, it's all a psyop. And these are even more red flags to me. There is a Twitter account that did some rather interesting, a rather interesting thread. This is by Red Pilled America. Tim Ballard destroys his own origin story. Ballard's recent appearance in PragerU, Light in the Darkness, undermines not only Sound of Freedom's true story label, it also destroys the real-life origin story Ballard uses to generate massive donations for his child rescue work. On July 13th, 2023, PragerU released Light in the Darkness, a docuseries which chronicles Ballard's journey to founding child sex slave rescue company. In it, Ballard directly contradicts statements made under penalty of perjury in a federal court case. And they linked the video to that PragerU video. Ballard has long told the story of the moment he spoke to a child victim of Earl Buchanan that led him becoming a child slave rescuer. Past descriptions lack some detail, but in the PragerU series, Ballard provides a new detail and appears to have made a major misstep. In PragerU docuseries, Ballard claims, and my mind flashes back to an experience I had within 24 hours prior to this conversation with my wife. This one point, I was alone with this child. I was interviewing him. I took him out to lunch. Let me play that clip for you guys. It's about a minute long.
And my mind flashes back to an experience I had had within 24 hours prior to this conversation with my wife. This one point, I was alone with this child. I was interviewing him. I took him out to lunch. He was mostly smiley and happy. He knew he was safe. Just trying to slowly learn what in the world had happened, how he was kidnapped, where his family is now, where his sister is. And at one point, at kind of a random moment, he broke and just ran to me, jumps into my arms, and he's shaking. And I'm shaking. And he said, I don't belong here.
So the movie Sound of Freedom, that's Tim Ballard right there. That's the real Tim Ballard. Earlier in the week, I listened to Tim Ballard on the Tim Pool podcast.
And my mind flashed.
And watching them, listening to them, I hope people don't get triggered. You guys got to hear me out. And you guys can come to your own conclusions, but he just sounds like so full of shit, man. You hear him talk, his eyes, everything about him screams 100% bullshit, man. And so, as I'm reading this, to me, a lot of this stuff makes sense. All right, let's continue the thread. The assistant U.S. attorney on the case, A.P. Serrano, stated in court documents that ICE agent Tim Ballard filed a report which clearly states that ICE agents did not interview the boy victim. Serrano continued. Any assertion stating otherwise is incorrect. And here is a screenshot of that document. Ballard has based much of the fundraising for his child sex slave rescue work on this victim interview. An interview court documents say never occurred. Again, the assistant U.S. attorney on the case stated under penalty of perjury, ICE agents did not interview the boy victim. So if this is true, that means the movie was based on a bullshit story by a bullshit storyteller named Tim Ballard. That's damning shit, man. This is the moment that Tim Ballard claims in other interviews that he was given a dog tag necklace by the child sex slavery victim of Buchanan that set him on his journey to becoming a child slave rescuer. And this is a major problem for him because, per Ballard, this is the necklace that is the symbolic to our organization. It was a necklace that was given, or I'm sorry, I think I skipped. I don't know how to do threads on Twitter, but let's listen to him tell his little story of getting those dog tags.
The thing that happened, and call this luck, providence, whatever, to me was special, is the little boy had a necklace. That little boy, the 5-year-old, and his sister had given him the necklace when they were separated by Buchanan. Yeah. Okay, and it was a little dog tag, and he gave it to me. You know, he knew I had to go find his sister now.
Oh no!
Yeah, and we did. We got her.
So, I've been watching clips of Tim Ballard. I'll keep playing it for the rest, but his body language, he just screams like a total bullshitter. I've met fuckers like this in real life. And 100% concocting stories and bullshitters, man. So this is the vibe I'm getting just watching this guy right now.
We got her out.
Oh my god!
But he gave me the necklace, and I tried to give it back. He's like, "No, it's yours. It's yours." This is when he was hugging me, and I'm like, "Okay." I put it in my pocket. Didn't think much of it, but later one of my children found it and they said, "Where'd you get this?" I'm like, How do I tell this story to my kid? And I tell my kid what I can. And he says, "Isn't it cool that that little kid put your name in the necklace, Dad?" I said, "What are you talking about? My name's not on the necklace." Like, yeah, your name's right here. And sure enough, I flip it around. And that little necklace had a scripture from the Bible on it, from the book of 1 Timothy.
Oh my goodness.
So that was like, to me, I was already feeling like, what am I going to do? Am I going to quit? Am I going to go full in? That necklace, it was like, it was like that little boy, whether he knew it or not, just gave me a commission. And that necklace, I wore that for every operation I did from that point on. And it was kind of like my symbol, like, I'm in now. So.
Wow.
Get the fuck out of here. Let's see. Per Ballard, this is the necklace that is so symbolic to our organization. It was a necklace that was given to me by one of the first children about 10 years ago that I had pulled out of trafficking ring. The dog tag story has been critical to Ballard's fundraising. OUR teamed up with a company called Love Grenade to sell premium dog tags based on this moment, sometimes pricing each as high as $128. They cite the dog tag moment in press releases and promotional material, and the promos for these dog tags got shameful. So here's some examples of them. We donate $50 for every dog tag sold. All right. In some promotional materials, the marketers directly tied a number of dog tag sales to a freed child slave. every 30 dog tags we sell, one child freed from sexual slavery equals one child freed from sexual slavery. That's pretty fucking... You're playing to emotions. Again, I'll get into that in just a minute. And this pitch was even made by one of the biggest self-help gurus in America. The one and only Tony motherfucking Robbins. If this doesn't scream bullshit to you, I don't know what will. Tony Robbins and his wife promoted these dog tags to support Ballard's rescue operation, stating, "For every 30 people, you'll save a child. We've personally saved 25,000 children over the last 6 years. This is the way to actually fight back." Really? By buying dog tags? This is the actual way to do it? I smell bullshit. But let's hear Guru
10 million of those are
Tony fucking Robbins.
Hey everybody, it's Tony and Sage. How are you today? Listen, we're just reaching out because we are giant supporters of a group called Underground Railroad. I'm sure you're probably familiar with them, but you want to share any?
Yes, Tim Ballard and his organization are just the most extraordinary, beautiful human beings, and they spend their lives dedicated to saving innocent children and women out of human trafficking.
And they've been doing this for years. They left their jobs. These are former CIA, former SEAL Team 6 police officers that have left their jobs to work full-time to try and fight the scourge of human trafficking. There's 40 million people enslaved in the world today, more than any time in human history. 10 million of those are slaves, are children, and 2 million are children to be formed as sex slaves. So this group called Love Grenades, if you decide to make a little investment, they've donated $50 from each one of these. You open it up and it shows that for every 30 people, you'll save a child. We've personally saved 25,000 children over the last 6 years. It's been one of the greatest gifts of our life. If you can imagine a child being forced to do the unspeakable, stolen from their family, this is a way to actually fight back. And so if you open it up, it's just really beautiful. I asked to just kind of show you. It's called Love Grenades.
These beautiful dog tags. And it also, on the back of it, says Sound of Freedom. And Sound of Freedom is the most just
all right, enough of that
film,
goddamn advertisement.
Actually, a true life story.
I think that was it. There was one video clip that I did want to play. So before I get into more of that, I want to give my review on the movie. So I did go see it on Sunday, even though these other red flags had come about, and I enjoyed the movie. I really did. It was well made, got some good action scenes going, written well. It definitely had its Hollywood cheese. And so when I critique this, it's for the shenanigans, the extracurricular shenanigans. The other day, there was, I think it was an ad promotion for the movie, and someone wrote a comment on Facebook, and I just said, look, I like the movie, but there are some serious questions, something basic. The amount of people that got triggered. And the ironic thing is, most of these people that were triggered by my comments are probably the same people that go around calling other people snowflakes and crybabies and all this shit, you know, like toughen up buttercup types. And they were mad. It doesn't bother me. I don't give a shit. This is why I even tell you, if you disagree with something that I say, leave it in the comments or call in and let's talk about it. I don't give a shit, man. That goes off my back. But watching people's reactions to anyone criticizing this, I got to thinking that people get so caught up with actors, and it's not just left-wingers. Jim Caviezel is held into this high fucking regard. Why? Because he played Jesus in a fucking movie. It's almost like he gets a free pass with a certain crowd, a religious crowd, if you will, to do whatever the fuck he wants. Be engaged in whatever kind of activity because he played Jesus in a fucking movie. when you really think about it, it is the most ridiculous fucking thing. And it's such basic shit. But you can't rationalize simple shit like this with some people. It just goes over their head. But you know, going back to my review with the movie, I thought it was a great movie. It really was great. Jim Caviezel, I think he's a piece of shit in my opinion. But he's a damn good actor, and I can say that about a lot of these guys, Hollywood guys. Tom Cruise is a piece of shit. He's a hell of an actor. A lot of these motherfuckers are damn good at their craft. And so when you see these red flags with this movie, another thing that I keep hearing about this movie is that a lot of the money was fronted by Carlos Slim, who is believed to be the richest person in Mexico. He's a fucking monopolist. He has monopolies in Mexico, and that's how he's made a shit ton of money. And he's a fucking drug dealer, man. He's shady as fuck. Just like any wealthy person around the world. You don't get wealthy by being on the straight and narrow. Let's just get that out of the way. You get wealthy by doing some shady shit, while whether it's making fake universities or, you know, whatever shady shenanigans to get to the top. You do shady fucking shit, every single one of them. Name me one good billionaire or wealthy fucker. I encourage you to name me one. I mean, they're all fucking dirty. They all have connections. Warren Buffett, he's even been tied with these scumbags. So none of them are clean, man. And again, you don't get to the top. Just like in politics, you don't get to the top, in my opinion, without being dirty or corrupt yourself. So with Carlos Slim being a money man for this film, it made me... there's so many red flags with it, man. Now, the movie, and spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, go to my Telegram channel. It is there for free, God damn it. But it's essentially, without spoiling it too much for people, it talks about Tim Ballard meeting this... he's doing busting pedophiles online, and he sees kids. That reminds me. He sees kids getting abused, for lack of a better term, getting abused, and then he tracks them down, and then he starts feeling bad because he never rescues the kids, you know, that he investigates and all that shit. Okay, I was gonna show you guys Timcast. Okay, if I remember, 3838 was the time stamp. If you guys are still questioning my questioning of the movie and Jim Caviezel and Tim Ballard, if you guys are like, you know what, Weezy, some of the shit you say I agree with, but right now you're off base, I will present you exhibit. Where the fuck is he? Oh, he's right here. Okay. It's probably gonna have an ad, so let's mute this fucker. But I present you this exhibit. I'm gonna play it for you guys and tell me what you guys think. Let's see, 38. Oh shit, I went too far. Okay. Here we go. Pay attention to this.
And exploited. That's an evil place. And not everybody there, I know. I know people who work there, but there's got to be a way that we can build something else. And this is a path towards that as well. I wanted to add, though, I'll say a couple things. In the beginning of the film, Jim Caviezel and you, obviously, in real life, had to watch these videos. I don't know how you do it. That scene where the other agent said,
you and Jim Caviezel had to watch child porn, in case you missed it. He just said that. Tim Ballard at no point corrects him or shuts him down. So I have to assume that that is correct. That Jim Caviezel and Tim Ballard watch child porn videos. Now, Tim Ballard, I guess that was his job, so I guess that's what it is. But Jim Caviezel, a fucking actor, needing to watch child porn to play the role. Explain that to me, people that think I'm off base for criticizing this movie. Explain that one to me.
Says, I don't think I can do this. I'm thinking to myself, how is a job like this possible? Because, spoilers, I know I warned you. In the film, I don't know how true to life the direct lines or whatever, but your character, you go to this pedophile and you say that in watching these films, you can't help but be attracted to it. And I'm watching this thinking like,
why is he smiling, Tim Ballard?
I don't see that as being a physical, mental possibility for me. I imagine that if I was in a circumstance, I'd quit on the spot. The moment anyone tried to bring anything up, I'd punch the monitor. And I got to be completely honest. Watching this film, I'm in the middle of it, and I'm thinking, am I wrong about the death penalty? That's how seriously I was moved by this. I'm very anti-death penalty, but seeing this message made me really just start to think about what the Founding Fathers meant, how they went through this, what does it really mean? And it really challenged my...
Okay, enough of that shit. I listened to the entire thing, and again, Tim Ballard just comes off as a complete bullshitter. But that part right there is one that stuck out for sure. And it's at 38 minutes, 38 seconds of the Timcast live podcast with Tim Ballard, in which he starts, again, if you missed it, we'll play it one more time.
Jim Caviezel and you, obviously, in real life, had to watch these videos. I don't know how you do it.
I like how he just glossed over. I don't know how you did it. Why didn't you dig into that a little bit more, Timmy? Why does an actor need to be watching child porn to play a fucking role? Again, answer me that question, people that think I'm full of shit or I'm wrong for criticizing this movie. You got to answer that one and provide a damn good answer. If you are mad and boiling right now that I'm fucking wrong, hit up that goddamn StreamYard. But again, so many red flags. All that being said, I did enjoy the movie. I don't want to, I was going to go into it and breaking it down, but I don't want to ruin it for people. It's a good movie. And some of the attacks that I got when I did that little Facebook post, people were calling. I read that article earlier where people that criticize the film get called pedophile. I was called a fucking pedophile for criticizing the movie. And meanwhile, here we have Tim Ballard and Jim Caviezel looking at child porn. But I'm the one, the pedophile, because I'm criticizing that kind of shit. To me, this entire movie seems like a right-wing version of BLM, and I would say the beginning version of this was when Trump was president. You kept seeing hashtag save our children. How many people remember that shit? I remember it. And it smelled like the right-wing version of Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter, as we know, started off grassroots, started off in a good place. It wanted to highlight police brutality. That does indeed happen. And just like all these movements, they eventually get hijacked. Save our children, hashtag save our children. I said this years ago. I don't know what podcast I said it or what show I did, but I said save our children was another fucking psyop to reel in people from the right wing the way BLM reeled in people from the left wing. Same fucking shit. I said it years ago. People didn't want to believe me. now we have this film, and obviously the message, no one disagrees with the message. Child trafficking must be stopped. The criticism from people like me comes from the amount of bullshit. Are we getting sold bullshit to line the pockets of these motherfuckers that are playing on people's emotions off real shit that does indeed happen? It does indeed happen. Child trafficking is not fictional. It does happen. But when you hear these fuckers and Jim Caviezel saying that he's not suicidal and he might get taken out by the CIA, motherfucker, your movie is about the CIA and the FBI in a good light. I've read many articles where if you are lent out military grade equipment, the CIA, the FBI, the military industrial complex, in other words, has to review your script. So Jim Caviezel saying that he's going to get suicided by the CIA is complete fucking horseshit, man. Again, playing on the emotions of people over real shit. And that's what pisses me off more than anything. And this Tim Pool podcast that I played right here, I listened to the entire show. They collected, he matched whatever the super chats was. And as soon as he said that he was going to match, more super chats started coming in. In the end, they ended up raising $50,000 for Tim Ballard's new rescue fucking charity shit. What's the date on this? July 13. The same day the Vice article comes out. So Tim Ballard at this point wasn't even with OUR anymore. So very interesting shit. So again, my criticisms have nothing to do, good on shining a light on this. And this is what other people are saying. Look, yeah, maybe he bullshits a little bit, maybe this and that, whatever, but it's shining a light, so let it go. You know, this reminds me a lot of the Sean Atwood bullshit. And I'm not going to go into it because I don't talk about that shit no more. But that's why I'm not longer in YouTube, is because of that motherfucker, Sean Atwood. I called him out on his bullshit. He was fucking around with an ex-guest and he made her a fake-ass GoFundMe, collected thousands of pounds for a fake-ass GoFundMe. And most people that saw and followed me, that's why we still have people that follow me to this day, they saw the grift. They saw the bullshit. Sean Atwood is a fucking con man. And some people defended Sean Atwood, saying, well, at least he's talking about Jeff Epstein. This is the same type of shit, man. I've heard it. Fuck that excuse. Do it on the right. If you, on the straight and narrow, if you are claiming to be fighting against this or be an activist, do it on right terms. But don't be pulling fucking grifts, because then I don't give a shit about your intentions after that. I have to question everything you do once you start grifting fucking people. Now, that's how I feel about it. It's just too many damn red flags. The Steve Bannon shit. I put the Steve Bannon shit on that Facebook and I got attacked. Steve Bannon has never been tied to Jeff Epstein. You're a liar. And man, people were furious. A simple search engine lookup of Jeff Epstein, Steve Bannon pulls up a plethora of fucking articles. But it just goes to show people let their emotions get to them. Facts be damned. And they block you out. They don't want to hear it. And so when I see all these red flags, I see the QAnon stuff, I see the Steve Bannon shit, a Jeff Epstein homie, too many fucking red flags. Donald Trump is involved, is tied into all this shit. Another Epstein. I mean, there's too many. But of course, some people have made those their heroes, and so they'll block out all this information I just said. People on the left do this when you bring up shit against them. People on the right do it as well. This is why I am apolitical. Fuck both sides. Fuck them all, man. It's bullshit. The grooming happens in Hollywood 100%. The grooming also happens in conservative religious institutions. It happens everywhere. And I get irritated, I get frustrated when people say, well, I am a conservative. That is only a Hollywood problem. Bull fucking shit. Or when the left-wingers do the same thing. Oh, those fucking priests and pastor pedophiles, blah, blah, blah. Shut the fuck up. That shit happens in Hollywood as well. So it happens on both ends. But each side digs in their heels and just points the finger solely on the other side. And in my opinion, that is extremely wrong. All right, so if I triggered anyone, be sure to call in. I'm going to go ahead and try to get the StreamYard running. Let's see here. One second. Window capture. So, again, I'm not trying to I literally am not trying to piss people off. I'm just seeing things the way they are. You can accept them. You can dismiss them. It's all up to you at the end of the day. I just present things for you to read, and that's it. Ain't no thing but a chicken wing. All right. Let's see if anyone is waiting for us on the stream. Oh shit, you know what? I need to turn off my camera. Well, actually, I don't even know if anyone's here. I'm gonna see. Okay, we've got no one. Let me read some comments, and if we don't get anyone, we will end it. All right. I haven't seen it either. Missy says the Bond movies are CIA scripted. Yeah, pretty much any movie, like I said, is if the CIA, FBI, or any department from the military, for that matter, lends you vehicles and all that shit, it's because they've already seen the script and they have approved of it. And so they're all involved in that movie. And more, I mean, it's just, this movie is littered with red flags. And like I said, even though it's littered with red flags, I still enjoyed the movie. It was a good movie. The message is definitely good. The only thing that bothers me is the amount of grift involved. The whole story of the dog tag. So without spoiling too much, there's a scene where this, Jim Caviezel playing Tim Ballard saves this kid that he's seen in movies getting raped, and then he rescues him from this fucking pedophile who's trying to smuggle him across the border. And the kid is standoffish, and eventually he opens up and gives him a necklace, and to Tim Ballard, a necklace that says Timoteo, like basically like a Bible scripture of Timothy, but in Spanish. And apparently the kid had it. His sister gave it to him when they got separated. It is a completely, like, I watched, I'm like, what are the fucking odds of this story actually being true? Well, it turns out, as I read you that Twitter thread, turns out Tim was never even interviewed the boy. By his own words. So the story focuses heavily on that, and it never even happened. So facts be damned. StreamYard link for anyone wanting to come on in. Otherwise, I can just get drunk and talk shit. I can do that as well. I'll be reading the live chat. Or if you don't want to call in, talk shit in the live chat. Uh, never seen. All right. What's up, Freddie? And Happy Gilmore. I spoke with Happy the other day. He was very happy. I will say that. All right. Let's see. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch this. Yeah, the amount of grift on this movie is really the biggest thing for me. As far as the message, I have no problem with the message. I think 99.9% of people would like nothing more than to watch child trafficking end. However, I mean, if these guys were making a movie on the Jeff Epstein saga and all the people involved, and Jim Caviezel says, I'm not suicidal, I hope I don't get suicided, I would take his ass more serious then. But this shit is putting a light on stuff that goes on. They're catching run-of-the-mill pedophiles. Nothing wrong with that. Fuck all pedophiles. Kill the motherfuckers. But the real motherfuckers, like Jeff Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and every one of their clients and customers that haven't ever been called out and will never face justice, those are the real pedophile problems that we have, because they are above the law. Run-of-the-mill pedophiles get caught all the fucking time, and good. I'm glad. But different rules for them, different rules for elite pedophiles. And that is so pervasive in our institutions, in our government, on both sides. Both sides. You got one side saying, yeah, we're against child trafficking, nah. And when it comes to Epstein shit, they stay quiet. So it's all a sham, in my opinion. And maybe I'm just trying to say things that trigger someone to call in. Maybe that's psychological. I'm playing some psyops. Let's see. Okay. What's up, Miss Hev? Miss Hev is here. Secret Squirrel. What's we got? Yeah. So that's really all I got. It's just, I'm not discouraging anyone from watching it, but it just seems like a big old money. And then making $100 million, for all the crying that the movie was being censored and all this shit, it's gonna end up making more than the fucking Flash by the end of this weekend. You know what I'm saying? So how much bullshit? And here's another red flag. The movie was also shelved by Disney. So Disney had it in its crosshairs. And for whatever reason, they shelved it. Maybe it was a business decision. But the fact that Disney had its hands on it, that's another fucking red flag. There's just so many red flags with it, man. Reading this article, Angel Studios, based out of Utah. I lived in Utah for many years, and I remember there was a company that was called Clean Flicks. And Mormons don't use cuss words, and supposedly they're against pornography. The funny thing is, Utah always ranks in high on porn consumption. So, a lot of them like fucking... well, Elder Larry was caught having a hard wank in the temple the other day. Yeah, it's funny. Not to shit on Mormons. I had I have a lot of friends that are Mormons. They're cool as hell. They just believe in some wacky ass shit. But so do many other Christians or Jews or Muslims. People have wacky beliefs. At the end of the day, if someone is cool, I don't give a fuck what they believe in. That's my personal opinion. So I have tons of Mormon friends from my days living in Utah. Definitely think their beliefs are wacky, but as people, as friends, they're good folks, the ones that I have. But anyways, Clean Flicks in Utah got involved in a lawsuit where they got sued by Hollywood studios for so they would get movies that were rated R and they would scrub out the nude scenes. They would dub over the swear words and make them say, like, if a part said motherfucker, they'd say mother trucker. They jump in Jehoshaphat, lightning bolts, leaping lizards. That's the kind of shit that they would dub into the movies, and it was called Clean Flicks. I remember that. I was a kid, man. I was like 13, and I was like, even as a kid, I was like, how the fuck can they get away with it? Aren't Hollywood movies copyrighted? And sure enough, they got rated and they got into some deep shit. I'd be interested to look back and see what kind of research I can find on that. But yeah, you can't mess with copyrighted material, and that's exactly what they were doing by editing out the titties and swear words out of the movies, Hollywood movies. But they were basically like a Blockbuster setup. And they got shut down real quick. But I wonder, right now that I read some articles on Angel Studios, I wonder if Clean Flicks morphed into Angel Studios. You know what I'm saying? That there's another little fun conspiracy rabbit hole that I could definitely dig in. So yeah, that's just my thoughts. I hope I didn't trigger too many people. We don't have anyone on StreamYards. Thank you guys so much. I do have some guests. They're going to be sporadic. I've been working crazy fucking hours. Just fucking insane. I used to get tired with 60-hour weeks. I'm working 70 plus now. So I got no time to book guests. So if you guys want to help me guess, book guests, contact them, have them contact me, and we'll set up for, you guys know when I do these live streams, so set them up for Saturdays. I don't mind talking to anyone. Just give me some information, and I just don't have time to do that shit right now with the amount of hours that I'm working right now. So that's one way to participate. My email's on the description. Shoot me an email. And hey, I would like you to get a hold of this person or that person. I'll fucking do it. I'll try to reach out, but if you don't mind reaching out to them first for me, and then we'll set it up afterwards, that would be a bigger help, because I just don't have time to be booking shit right now. Thank you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that. And if you didn't leave a comment, you had your chance to talk your shit right here, and you didn't. So shame on you, you little English muffins, you. Here. I do, in August coming up, I will have Robert Biddle from Mexico Unexplained return. That should be a lot of fun. It was fun the first time we had him on. I have some other people in the pipeline, but once I get those for sure, I'll let y'all know. All right, much love, hugs, and kisses.